Greetings once again. Welcome back. Sam Bloom Spoke Goods. It's been a couple of days since I did a video. Sorry, it's becoming a little intermittent. Lots of life stuff going on. But this is actually a good practice for me good discipline for me to keep up. It's kind of a personal thing I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and now that I'm able to do it, I find myself, making excuses or, not finding the time to do it. So, no excuses. Here I am. So, I'm going to start off with a couple of news items. These tornadoes that have hit the South are quite crazy. I didn't even know this happened until I think like the day after it happened, or anyways, tornadoes hit the South. 19 dead over 48 hours as tornadoes wreak havoc in the South. At least 19 people have died over the last 48 hours due to tornadoes as a violent system of storms made its way across the South from Mississippi to Florida Panhandle and parts of Alabama and Georgia. At least 15 people have died and around 24 were injured in Georgia from tornadoes early Sunday morning, following 4 tornado-related deaths that occurred in Mississippi on Saturday morning. According to the Georgia Emergency Management Agency, 4 people have died in Dougherty County near Albany, 7 in Cook County near Adel, 2 people died in both Berrien and Brooks counties. Yeah, tornadoes in January aren't completely unheard of. I actually did a little research into this. How prevalent are tornadoes in January? Excuse me. And they happen. I don't think that they're happening or have happened to the degree that this has happened. I think interestingly enough, the last big tornado spike was in the late 90s, 99. And I think that's right around the last time that we had a big global temperature spike around the world. If you remember, I don't know, I showed you all a graph a couple videos ago about global temperatures. And I believe there was a spike in the 90s. Maybe I have this graph. I do have this graph. Here it is, 1998 and 99. There was an anomaly, a temperature spike in those years. And so in 1999, could this be empirical evidence that the climate change, global warming, global average temperature affects our weather systems? In 99, 1989, 89, 80, 98, and 99, there was a temperature spike, and then there was a lot of tornadoes that happened. And in the month of January, there were quite a few. I don't think that they were as deadly as these ones. 19 people. That's pretty severe. I'm going to keep reading a couple more. Looks like Trump is going to pledge some aid for the damage. It's pretty insane. It's pretty wild. After all these, I think there was a tornado, something happened with some tornadoes in November, just a couple months ago. And this was pretty wild because it happened right after there were tornadoes in the South near Tennessee and Mississippi, Alabama. And right after there was a bunch of wildfires in Tennessee. And that's in November. That's pretty strange. Um, I mean, you could take one of these occurrences as an anomaly, but if you take all of them back to back to back to back and all together, you know, and then, here in California, we've had storm after storm after storm after storm. I mean, this is good on the level of, we're fighting a drought. And yet, this is another in a line of incredible floods and storm systems that have been wreaking havoc on the whole country this year. And so, you put all these occurrences together, back to back to back in such frequency, and it really does start to paint a picture that we are not in a regular, we're not in a normal weather system anymore. And again, I don't like to, doom everybody out or, put the dire predictions out there all the time, but I just, want people to be aware so that they can be prepared. I mean, on some level, it's like people are kind of, nothing is really all that severe. It's not affecting a whole group of people all at the same time. It's, like town by town or little areas, somebody's flooded out, or somebody's got some snow, or, whatever, I think it's only a matter of time before we see something happen with the weather that really, really causes, a serious calamity. Like something's gonna happen, and I think it probably might be this year. Who knows? But something really incredible is going to happen to the point where people are like, "Oh my God, now this is nuts. This is out of control." But maybe it'll be a couple years from now. But we're gonna keep weathering through these storms and these tornadoes and all these events. And at some point, people kind of have to like say, what the hell is happening? But it's not to that point yet. Now it's just like everybody, every time something happens, people are like, "Oh my God, that's so strange." Oh, But this is definitely an effect of climate change, and this is definitely, a pattern that's going to start escalating. And we have to be prepared for surviving stuff like this, and we also have to be prepared to do things a little differently. How are we gonna transition out of this economy? How are we going to transition out of this industrial I'll use Trump's word in a speech the other day, industrial carnage. This is carnage. Not it's funny because it's not funny at all, but it's people were very like shocked and weirded out by that word that he used, and I thought that was a little American carnage is a little something strange to say in a presidential inaugural speech. But again, the broken clock is right once in a while. There is carnage going on. It's not at the human level yet. It's at the environmental level. There's absolute carnage going on. We're absolutely destroying the earth. We're absolutely taking a sledgehammer to nature every single day. Every single day we are cutting down forests. Every single day we are pumping carbon into the atmosphere. And it's not decreasing, it's not even plateauing. Our carbon emissions are going up every single year at a faster pace every single year. And how are we going to stop this? how are we going to, we have to be willing to, if we're going to really be leaders on this, we have to really be willing to really put ourselves out there in an accountable way and in a very radical way. We have to radically alter our lifestyles. We have to radically alter our system of production and consumption in order to radically alter the damage that we're doing to our universe. Our universe, our Earth, our ecosystem, our little, aquarium of life out in space. It's important, and that's the understatement of the millennium, is that it's important that we don't destroy the Earth and destroy ourselves in the process. And it may already be too late, but how are we going to do that? I keep repeating that question over and over again. How are we going to do that? And there are, I'll just repeat, just a few things. Again, we can shut the actual system down by shutting down our own activity. If the planet is being destroyed by human activity, if climate change is being caused by human activity, we have to stop the activity. We have to stop, and that activity can start with ourselves. We have to stop doing what we're doing, period. And it has to be much more radical than, changing your light bulbs or recycling. It has to be super radical. And it also can be it can also be very simple too, Turn your air conditioner off. Turn your heater off if you don't need it. Turn your car off. Turn as much off as you can. Off, off, off. I happen to be, I'm sitting here talking into a computer, and hey, I'm contributing by doing what I'm doing, but I'm also trying to just put out information. This is important. These things are important. We can't turn everything off, but hey, if we can start by turning 50 or 60% of it off, that's a really good start. Because we're not turning anything off, Right now, we're barely turning anything off. On a national level, on a global level, we're not turning anything off. So let's start with that. And thank you for listening. I'm going to come back with another video.